Now we're live. There we go. Yes.
Live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Logic Apps webcast. I'm Jeff Holland.
I'm Kevin Lamb.
I'm John Fancy.
I apologize in advance for my voice. It's sad because our last webcast, we got all the comments that the sound quality wasn't that great. So we got a nice new microphone to pick up our audio so that you hear us so crystal clear.
See that cool microphone.
I know.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's blue. But now my throat's all messed up. I had a cold. I was in Chicago giving some presentations, and so I sound like this.
Wine.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this actually. I know it's a bit of a tangent, but it's okay. We'll let people trickle into this live webcast. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want a cool story about Steve Ballmer. I remember when I was interning here a few years ago, we went to the intern presentation where Steve Ballmer talked to all of the Microsoft interns, and his voice sounded just like this. It was the first time I'd ever seen him in person. And he walks out on stage, starts talking, and then just stops talking, grabs one of those things of honey that like has the bear in it, just opens it and pours it back and drops like flipping a cup of honey in his throat. And he's like, this helps my voice. And so when I was driving to work today, I was like, maybe I should just pop out some honey in the middle of this thing and drop it down.
Logic apps.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you so much. This is our monthly webcast. We've got some cool stuff to show you, some demos, announcements. So make sure you stick around. And we'll actually, I think, just jump right into it.
Let's do
Kevin.
it. All right. So for January, what do we have to share? Let's move on. So what's new in January?
So make sure you stick around.
Oh, oops.
My bad.
Okay, we're good?
We're good.
Good. Browse by connector. We finally released a great new search experience for being able to browse all of your connectors and operations on the designer. So now we have a kind of connector first experience for trying to find the actions and the triggers you care about. When we do the demo, we'll do a quick poke at that, and you can see what the experience is like when we do that. But it's a beautiful thing. Now people don't get lost in triggers because they're looking for actions, etc. It's all much better now. And we always appreciate your feedback when you start playing with these new features.
Yep.
JSON parse. So have you ever gotten a JSON object and then tried to reference it in one of your action steps? And so what we've done, instead of you having to write some expression to go parse that item, we now take your JSON, put it into this new action for JSON parse, and we will tokenize all the properties in your JSON object. So now, for example, if you get a JSON message coming in on your service bus trigger, you push it through JSON parse with the JSON schema, and now you get a tokenized set of properties.
Yep, and that's rolling out today and tomorrow.
Yeah,
you should see
awesome. The really nice thing about that isn't so much when you're authoring the thing, but when you open it again afterwards, 2 weeks later, you don't have to parse the expressions. It's just beautiful as you see all these data items tokenized. It's great.
Yeah, we'll get to see that too in the demo.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah. Switch. So, for example, when you do an approval scenario and you have a number of different options you can get back, or you just wanted to go in your classic coding view when you had to switch case, we now provide you a really nice designer experience for being able to do case statements essentially in your Logic app. So we'll give you nice parallel slots to go, and instead of doing complex nested if-elses to take care of that, we've taken care of that for you with a value and then react to different values based on that expression. Visual Studio support for parameterized definitions. That was a mouthful. So, when you're in Visual Studio, one of the things that you're trying to do is to ARM templify your Logic app so that you can go ahead and redeploy it and have it easily deployed to these different regions. But one of the challenges that we had is that when you use all of the parameters and variables that come from the ARM template, the designer didn't really translate those, and it would break the designer. So now in Visual Studio, we support all of those expressions, so then you can go ahead and really parameterize your Logic apps and make it really easy to redistribute, redeploy in your whole ALM experience.
Yeah. The other one this came in is like if you're deploying a function app at the same time you're deploying your Logic app, so they're in the same template. It was tricky before, but now you can actually say, hey, the function app I'm going to be using here is the function app that gets deployed right before this Logic app. You can do that
resource
now.
IDs.
Yeah.
You should the new word this month, templify as well, right? I think
it's official.
I think it should be templatified.
Yeah.
In the Oxford Dictionary, we use that one, right?
Why is John here again? Did anyone? I don't even think I invited. I stopped inviting you to these things, John.
Yeah, I sleep in this.
EDI went GA. All right,
we're on this bed. Bind Logic App to Azure Alert. So we've been working with our monitoring team, and if you go ahead into your alert experience, you can now, when you set up a new alert and you want it to something to react to it, today you can send an email or have a webhook. Now those guys have created a first-class experience for being able to select any Logic app that you have in your subscription that has a request trigger. So now you can automatically have that alert invoke a new Logic app instance.
Yep. Want to make it so like PagerDuty gets notified if a website's running hot. You just say, call this Logic app, calls to PagerDuty, take the day off.
And they'll give you a little sneak peek. Today we're going to, you have a request trigger that will do that. We're going to give you a new kind so that when one of these comes up, we already have the schema pre-built into that request trigger. So you don't have to go find the schema in documentation to get it all tokenized. That's it. What's new? So that's what's new for Logic apps in the last, about 3 weeks or so, with holidays, all of that in between there. But we have a huge list of SaaS connectors in general, SaaS and otherwise. And I want to make sure that we share this with you. It's going to be big.
This list, I love how fast these connectors are popping out now. So
the next one's going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
Let's see. Azure Resource Manager. This is a hot one. So with the Azure Resource Manager connector that is on the deployment train now, you'll be able to now interact with Azure resources directly. So you can go ahead and actually, kind of run the deployment script as your Azure Logic app and interact and shut down VMs or call any other resource API that you have in Azure. So many scenarios light up with this Azure Resource Manager. Very exciting. Outlook tasks. So now you have a connector to handle your Outlook tasks as they come in. Stripe, payments. You want to handle money. That's good, right?
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, we like money.
We like money. You guys like money more.
Everyone likes money, yeah.
And the GoTo series. Now we have GoTo Webinar and GoTo Training. So we have connectors for that. Let's keep going. Hello Sign. And user voice. So we're you'll continue seeing these SaaS connectors that are just being cranked out week after week. And finally Gmail. I think a lot of people are really going to appreciate this one because now of course we have had Outlook. Now you have Gmail, so you can now listen to your Gmail accounts.
Yeah.
Sweet. But not only do we have new connectors, but we have new operations on existing connectors. We haven't been highlighting this before, so we're going to now from now on, we'll bring out and talk about the new operations that are being added to existing connectors, which includes the file trigger. So technically, it's the file system trigger. So now you can listen for a folder on your on-premises machine to know when a new file got dropped into that folder and then be able to react to it. We got a sneak peek at it in the last webcast where John actually showed a demo of that. So if you want to see a demo of that, you can just go look at the last one, but it's now live. So you can go ahead and use the file trigger. Oops, that went too fast. So Power BI, add rows to data set. So before we had a Power BI trigger, now you're able to take your Power BI action and start adding rows to your data set right in your Power BI. A lot of nice scenarios light up with that. Your dashboard starts becoming more interactive based on the reactions from your Logic app. And less moving parts. You don't have to pass it to other databases or Stream Analytics or whatever. You go push it straight to Power BI. And then Outlook. So now Outlook, you can move a mail to the folder, flag an email, trigger for flagged email. So there's a bunch of new things that we continue to add to each of these connectors.
Switch. You got even more.
Twitter formatted timestamp.
Oh yeah, small but good.
Yeah, those little annoying things. You get that weird Twitter format for the date and doesn't parse right, or other systems don't understand it. Now you get a standard timestamp for all the Twitter items that come in on your feed.
Tweets,
yeah. So before we go in progress, you want to do the demo?
That's fine. Yeah. I will do the demo. Let me present my screen to everyone and do our favorite transition, which is Inception. So I have here the Logic Apps Designer. I want to call out a few things. The first that you will see is the new search experience. So the first thing you'll notice is instead of just seeing actions, or I guess triggers in this case, which is what you saw before, I also see all the services that we support. We noticed a lot of people were saying things like, hey, I don't see SQL anywhere in this list. Do you not support SQL? And we do, we just don't have any triggers for it yet. And so now I can easily just browse and see all of those many connectors that we support. And we pop up those top ones that we see users using right here at the top to make it easy for you. So I can say I want to do a request trigger in this case. And I'm not even going to define a schema because the next thing I want to show, well, I'll show a few things because I noticed in the chat window there was one that was talking about how do I do the functions, API management, app service stuff. So I will call out here that we still do have right in your face app services, API management, and Azure functions ready for you to start playing with. So if I say, let's talk to API management, it will automatically switch and say, hey, which instance do you want to use? In this case, I have this API management instance. Here's all the operations I have in that instance. And here's the, or I guess those were the APIs and these are the operations. So I can go ahead and still choose that. I still get that nice experience of dropping in functions and API management or app services apps into my workflow. But what I do want to do is, let's pretend this would have been a service bus trigger, which I was fiddling so much with our webcam before the webcast that I didn't get the connection key for my service bus trigger. But now there's a new action where if I come in here and I type in parse or JSON, this is in our preview environment right now. Like I said, this is rolling out today and tomorrow. We have this function called parse JSON as part of our data operations actions. So what this allows me to do is just pass in some content. In this case, I'm going to pass in the body from HTTP. This could have been the content from a service bus message. And now I have the opportunity to define a schema. Now, what's coming very shortly, I'll give you a sneak peek here, is that there'll be a button rolling out either next week or the week after that would say, you know what, I just have a sample. Let me paste in a sample and you generate the schema, and we'll do that for you. But since that button is not there in this week's release, you can just go ahead and use something like jasonschema.net. Here was the sample that I'm going to use, which is their sample of this JSON object. So I'll grab the schema of that. And when I come back over here to the designer and paste that in, what's great is that if on my next step, I want to do something like, I don't know, I'll do a compose just so we know that this all works. Compose a new JSON object. Now I have all of those properties that are coming in my request that I can easily just select in. So if I want to say like, hey, the city is, I don't know, this city, and done. So I didn't have to do any decode base 64 manual parsing. I just am able to parse right there. We're going to be working on functionality to also do like parse XML. So you get similar functionalities with XML. So that'll be coming down the line as well. So now if I save this logic app and run it, or I did something, it looks like I deployed this in a region where parse JSON isn't available yet, which is West US. So that's why it's not letting me save, but you still get the gist of how you could use it in your logic app. Last thing I'll show you briefly is the new switch case. So I can come in here and say, hey, I want you to switch on, in this case, let's say city. And now I can define different cases. So if city is Redmond, then I want you to do this step. I have a default here, or I continue to add more cases to say if city is, I don't know, New York. So you get that idea. Now you can just do this nice switching as part of your logic app definition as well. And you have this nice default case to work with. So those are the main things I wanted to demo. That's the big stuff, I think. Anything else that I'm missing that I should call out before I switch back over to our beautiful faces? That's it. Let's call it. Okay.
Yeah, so the reason that Jeff used the JSON parse there, yes, in the request.
Yeah, I could have done it in the request, but Service Bus doesn't have that. FTP doesn't have that. Anytime you're passing JSON in any of those actions, you could do it. I guess since I didn't even run it, I could have done Service Bus, which would have been the right one, but you get the idea. Service Bus trigger, parse the JSON message from Service Bus, and use the contents of the message as I need. Great.
Cool. You want some honey?
I know. Are you doing a demo today, John?
So very exciting stuff, but we even have more exciting stuff in
Is this a 2-columner? Do we have 2 columns going? Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So let's get started with that. First, variables. This is on the cusp. We're getting much closer to having this released with oh, that's live. With variables, you'll be able to initialize and declare and use them in loops and append to it and increment. So it's going to be very exciting once we release variables. A lot of scenarios light up with variables. Header control. So today, and for example, your HTTP action, you have a text box where you're supposed to write your JSON that represents your headers. That's rather annoying. So we've finally got around to adding control that's a dictionary, so name value pairs, so that you can enter it in a nice formatted way. But we will also give you a kind of raw view in case you have an object that will act as a header, and you can just pass that in there. Or if you, for some reason, like to write the raw text, we still give you that control as well. Generate schema from sample. So Jeff talked about this, where that magic missing button is in like the JSON parse, so that you give it a sample JSON object, and then we'll generate that schema for you, and then you can utilize that in your JSON parse. You don't have to leave the designer and go find that cool tools that we have out there. Expression evaluation and run history. So have you ever written a complex expression and then try to figure out how it evaluated and for example, you have an expression in an if statement and it went to the yes branch and you don't know why it went to the yes branch. So what we're working on is being able to dig down into the details of the expression. We'll give you an expression tree, and you'll be able to see each of the values of that of each of the expressions in that tree. That'll be very cool. So that right in the run history and the monitoring view, we'll do that for you. Updated portal management blade.
Some good stuff coming here.
Yeah, so I mean, right now we have a very simplistic management experience in the portal, and soon the portal blades are going to become wide blades. So we're creating a much snappier first-time experience for being able to browse it. So we're going to clean up that resource blade and allow you to get to your runs faster from there and cleaner. Relative URL with custom methods. So this has been something that's been asked for quite some time, where it's like, hey, I have a request trigger, but I really, and we have our pre-canned URL that's there and it's static. You have to do a post, the URL that we give you with the run operation and a bunch of the goop for security. But sometimes I want to have different extensions in that URL to demarcate different resources, right? REST resources that I'm accessing underneath. So now we give you the ability to actually go ahead and extend that, so you can have your own REST definition, REST URL on that, and we'll also take, will be tokenized, so that you can have a customer ID in that, and we will honor those tokens that you have in the REST URL.
Yep.
And not only do we have the REST URL, but we also will allow you to have your own method. So get, put, post, delete. Will be there as well. So now when somebody interacts with your request endpoint, it has a more customizable or intuitive experience for interacting with that endpoint.
Yeah.
Convert array as table or CSV action. So have you ever had, for example, a collection of tweets and you wanted to create a diary or a summary of those tweets? So, or any array. You have an array that's come back from a SQL query. So it's an array, but you want to be able to convert that to like an HTML table or a CSV format. So then you can pass it to some client or some other system, so then they can actually do something with that array. So now we finally have a nice action that will convert that array into one of those two formats. Select Service Bus Namespace Picker. So one of the reasons Jeff didn't show the service bus scenario in his JSON parse was because I have to leave and go find the connection string and then come back and paste it in there, and that will take too long in the time that we had to do it. It's not, there's not a lot of brain power there, but it's really distracting and you have to go find that stuff. So what we're doing is right in that connection blade experience, allowing you to find the service bus namespace you care about, select it, and then we will go ahead and take care of the connection string for that namespace. So you don't have to leave and abandon your logic app.
And similar functionality will come later for other Azure services like SQL, Data Lake, all the other Azure things. Then you can just say, hey, I'm already in my subscription. Just let me browse.
The cat of the bag.
Oh yeah, that's right. I let a few things out there.
Yeah. Partner and NetEffect tiles in OMS. So today in OMS, we already have tiles for X12 and AS2. So now we have partners and NetEffect. Did you want to add something?
No, it'd be something you just see light up with the OMS solution. We'll be pushing out some updates to that. It's in progress, so yeah, sometime soon you'll see a partner view which lets you see by partner as well as by protocol what's going on with that B2B traffic.
Yeah. Perfect, great, thanks, John. So that's it.
Okay. And finally, new region, the one that's coming up next is Canada. Oh, Canada. So we love Canada. And that's going to light up within the next couple of weeks. We have infrastructure out there. We're just going through validation processes. So look out for Canada coming live soon. So this is what we have in progress for kind of Logic Apps Core, but we have connectors.
Oh, nice! You didn't even have to click through them. Look at all those.
Because we got so many.
Yeah.
And these are connectors that are coming really soon. So by our next webcast, all these should be out.
Cool.
Most of them?
I don't know. I know the ones I see that I know about.
Oracle database.
Let's hope for it.
Oracle EBS.
Data Lake will be. Automation
SQL triggers. SQL on-prem stored procs. So those are things that have been pending for a long time. They're right on the cusp of being released. Azure Data Lake.
I love these webcasts as much as the viewers, honestly.
Azure Automation. So now you'd be able to trigger a runbook from a Logic app. So now, let's take a step back. So, looking at something like Azure Automation. So today, you have the ability to call Azure Functions. And now with Azure Automation, you can really start seeing and ARM. You can really start seeing different types of automation scenarios you can have with Logic apps and being able to kick off PowerShell scripts, kick off code, interact with your Azure resources. Some great things are lighting up. Blob trigger. That's one of those things that we just wish we had sooner, but that's now coming.
Soon, yep.
Lewis. Talk about Lewis. You love Lewis.
Yeah, I do. So Lewis, this is worth calling out because one of the things we love, especially with other Azure services, are some of the machine learning things. So Lewis is the Language Understanding and Intelligence Service. I believe that's what it stands for. It's a core piece of that bot framework where today we have like detect sentiment of text or pull out key phrases. Lewis kind of takes that to the next level where you can say, I'm going to send you some text and Lewis will detect what the intent is. So this is how bots are powered, where if I want a bot that lets you order pizza, which is the example they always use, if someone sends you the text, I really want a pizza right now, Lewis doesn't, you don't have to actually go parse that English. Lewis would just return back the response, they want pizza, right? Like it understands their text, you can train it. So having that as a connector in a Logic app, you can really start to do some powerful artificial intelligence bot-like things and creating some real intelligence and letting people interact with your applications in more natural dialogue ways. It's worth calling out.
Yeah. And just one bit of breaking news that one of the Padma, I think Padma joined us on one of our.
She did, yeah.
She's letting me know that the partner update to the port. She's virtually here. She's challenging me to let me know that we pushed out the partner stuff yesterday. So that's already there in OMS, and the NetEffect stuff's coming soon. So
wow,
there you go. Live updates.
Excellent. So, going through the list, we have Bing News Search. You be able to look for news articles on the web. Zendesk, you can now create tickets and interact with your Zendesk, Bitbucket, Eventbrite, and Axe. So we're pounding you with connectors. We have over 100 connectors now, and we're going to continue pushing out more. So with that said, announcements. Dun, dun, dun. Middleware Fridays. Our buddy Kent Weir. We love Kent Weir. Call out to @Kent Weir.
Yeah.
He's got a weekly webcast where he does
in partnership with BizTalk 362. We got a lot of kudos to give here. Yeah.
BizTalk 360, and it's on their site that's hosted there. He does a what's it called? A video.
Yeah. What do you call this thing?
Yeah.
As a webcast. Anyway, so
his is more professional.
Yeah. 20 minutes. A nice snapshot of being able to do a particular scenario. In this past week, he did a scenario with Logic Apps and Cognitive Services, part 1, and then he has a part 2 coming out. And so he'll go over enterprise patterns and other cool features of Logic Apps and interactions with different Azure services. So he always is a good presenter, and highly recommend watching his stuff on Middleware Fridays.
Are you going to sing the Canadian national anthem for
Yeah.
Canada?
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, there we go.
We're wearing hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's our love for Canada. So we will be at Ignite Australia from February 14th to the 17th. For all you guys down in Australia or in that area, please come see us. We'll be presenting at Ignite Australia, which is in the Gold Coast, and then we'll be splitting up and traveling to Melbourne and Sydney following the following week. So if you want to come see us, please either reach out to us or hopefully we'll see you at Ignite.
Yeah, and honestly, like we pretty much blocked our whole second week there, just meeting, and I don't want to just say this to sound cliche, but it's filling up fast. So if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I'm going to be in the area between the 14th and 20th inclusive, reach out to us, send us an email, Logic Apps email, and we'll make sure we set aside some time to meet with you.
22nd.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah,
Tuesday.
But we want to see you. We want to see as many people as we can. We don't get to travel down there as often as we'd like.
Yeah, so Sydney and Melbourne will be the 21st and 22nd, Australia time. So we have dates from BizTalk 360 on the Integrate 2017 London conference. So that's going to be June 26th to the 28th. As always, that's an exciting conference for us where we get to talk about a lot of cool stuff. And we get some great presenters from around the world joining us.
Yeah, it's a big event.
Big event.
Yeah. Really good.
Now that we're doing these webcasts, there won't be as many surprising news because we're like.
We'll save some surprises.
But
That's right,
we'll
saying,
have some big ones there.
Yeah, there'll be some things I'm sure we'll talk about.
And finally, we are on the road, so you can see our road trip. So we have tech summits. The next ones are coming up: Bangalore, Birmingham, and Copenhagen. Where we'll be there. So come out to the tech summits, and you can watch our presentations. And if you want to meet us face to face, we'll be at those various tech summits.
I have a feeling I'm going to be getting sick more as I spend more time in these airports.
Yeah.
So
Maybe resiliency.
Maybe.
That's right,
I have pretty crappy genes. Let's be honest.
And reach out as always. We want you to reach out to us, and we have a number of ways. We extend out to you through our Logic Apps blog and updates blog. Reach out to us, Logic Apps Wish, for voting for features, and of course we have our BizTalk blog and this Azure webcast. I think that's it.
Yeah, we've been staying on top of the questions for the most part. Birmingham, UK is the answer there.
UK, yes, not Alabama.
Yep. And let me make sure I'm not missing any other questions that we have. Looks like most people are just happy for things like variables, blob trigger. I think there was, the one I will call out, there was a question on SFTP support for SSH. I don't know. Do you know what the status is on that one?
I don't know.
I know it's high on the backlog. I know they're working on it. I don't know what the day-to-day status is. So if you're interested specifically in SSH support with SFTP, send an email to logicapps@microsoft.com. I'll give you the up to the second update on where that one's coming.
Excellent.
Great. Well, thanks everyone. Twitter, email, you know the drill. We'll be talking to you next month. Oh wow, maybe we'll do a webcast from Gold Coast.
Yeah,
on the beach.
On the beach.
Not the rain.
In my what should I wear for that one?
Yeah,
I'll leave it up to you guys.
Put some scuba gear on.
All right, with that, we got to end it. It's been 30 minutes, so thanks everyone again, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.